If you're in the market for a Pokemon TCG pre-made deck, we've got 2 more options coming in the near future in this EX battle deck featuring Kangaskhan EX and this EX battle deck featuring Greninja EX. Are these worth keeping tabs on when they release later this year? I'm Jet from InThirdPerson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about these recently revealed EX battle decks. First off, we're going to start with Kangaskhan EX, and keep in mind both of these decks are level 1 decks. These are meant to be beginner level decks. You're just starting out to learn how to play, or maybe you've played something like the upcoming My First Academy or My First Battle or Battle Academy, and you want something more along those lines, and this is going to be the place to go. And this one features Kangaskhan EX. It's a basic Pokemon, 230 HP, and it's got the moves Triple Draw. For 1 colorless energy, you get to draw 3 cards. Not a great move. But then you also have the move Incessant Punch. For 3 colorless energy, does 100 damage for each heads you flip, and you're going to flip 4 coins. Theoretically, if you flip all 4 heads, you can do 400 damage and 1-hit KO everything in the game. Now, how likely is it that you're going to flip 4 heads? Not particularly likely, but an interesting attack to say the least. Something with definite power spike potential. Now, we can look at the back of the box here as well and see some of the Pokemon that also come with this deck. I can't really see the ability here, and I know these are cards that are already out, but based on a quick glance, I don't think any of these cards synergize particularly well with Kangaskhan. I believe most of these are filler, which is a little disappointing because the last round of EX decks featured Chen Pao, and that one came with the Baxcalibur engine, and that pairs so well with Chen Pao that it kind of makes it a cut above the other level 1 EX decks, and this one doesn't seem to have that. I would assume it's going to have the same general draw 3 research cards and your youngsters and all that. So these are not meant to be the most competitive decks, but even in the context of level 1 decks, I don't necessarily think they're the strongest. As an attacker, I think I don't think of Kangaskhan too highly. However, this deck has, and just keep in mind, I know I'm covering this card, it's Escape Rope, but I just wanted the bigger picture so you guys can see the deck. I've seen this card come up on some Japanese lists, and I don't know if it's actually that good, but it's here. It was on a tweet from, who is this, Pokeka Book, on like winning decks, and this Kangaskhan one is up here. Granted, you're probably going to have to upgrade it a lot if you buy the EX deck to make it look something like this. Like, there's definitely no way Mew EX is going to be in that deck. But the general idea of this deck is that you're trying to attach energy, trying to get your double turbos on there to attach to Kangaskhan to charge it up faster. Yes, you're going to do 20 less damage, but if you're doing like 380 damage and you flip 4 heads, you're still going to be able to one-shot anything in the game. We've got 4 copies of the Bravery Charm to get Kangaskhan EX's health all the way up to 280 HP. Energy Lotto to get the special energies such as the double turbo and V-Guard energy a little quicker. And there's a new card right here called Energy Seal, where you flip a coin. If heads, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. Therefore, you're going to be using Greninja to discard the water energies, flipping a coin again for Energy Seal to charge up the Kangaskhans in the bench. And then just in case, you've also got Mew EX as a draw engine, lets you draw up to 3 cards, and you can attach energy to Mew as well and use its genome hack attack, where you get to copy your opponent's active Pokemon's attack. But the usefulness of this is going to vary wildly depending on what you are up against. We also have the new Ditto here. I really like this card. I don't have the translation pulled up, but basically on your first turn, if this is in the active spot, you can discard this card and then grab a Pokemon of your choice and put it into the active. So it's kind of like having a 5th Kangaskhan in the deck. It's really nice. Now, I don't necessarily believe in this deck as an archetype, but maybe you do. Maybe you love playing coin flip decks and, you know, hitting the theoretical possibility of one hit KOing anything is, you know, at the very least fun. But there we go. That is kind of a look at Kangaskhan EX. Of course, the deck you will be getting doesn't look anything like this upgraded one in Japan. In order to get here, you would have to upgrade it a lot. So lots of work to be done, but this is technically the starting point for it. And if you're interested, both this one and the Greninja one are going to be out on October 9th, and they're going to cost $9.99 US each. Now let's go talk about Greninja. This one, again, when we get to see the back of the box, we don't have a full deck list for either of these yet. There isn't too much synergy here either, other than the Quaquaval, which when you evolve to Quaquaval, you get to attach an energy to one of your water Pokemon, and that is technically helps you charge up Greninja EX a little faster. That being said, Greninja EX's attack only requires 2 energy. And let's actually take a step back and talk about Greninja EX here. It's a stage 2 Pokemon, so it's going to be a lot harder to get onto the field. Got 300 HP. It's a water Pokemon, and it's got 2 attacks. One of them, Stealthy Shuriken, does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's 40 bench snipe, and being able to do 40 damage is really nice, and it does help set up the second attack. However, 40 damage is not really good enough in the current meta. If you can hit 70, even 60 is a little better, because you are going to be knocking out some basics as well, some smaller basics. 70 is the magic number where you could one-shot pretty much all of the relevant basic Pokemon out of the bench, but this isn't going to do it. It's just 40. But it's got its other move, Torrential Slash, for 2 water energy, does 120 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this does 120 more damage. So a theoretical 240 damage for 2 water energy is great. And you don't have to discard water energy like the upcoming Quaquaval EX deck. It's just 240 if they've already got damage on there. It's technically kind of like Meowscarada, but you are doing more damage than Meowscarada, but Meowscarada has a better way of setting up that damage in the first place. So, what is there any potential in this list? Maybe. Like, here's an upgraded list from Japan. That's kind of a mostly Greninja deck. We've got the Greninja EX paired with Greninja V Union and Radiant Greninja. And the main attacker in this deck is Palkia. Does incredible damage. It does 60 damage plus 20 for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent. So this can hit for up to 260 damage, which is awesome. And then we also have Greninja V Union. And you get all the pieces in, and Greninja V Union has a crazy attack that lets you do 100 damage to all of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, of course, this becomes useless if they play Manaphy, and it freaks me out that all of these Greninja V Union lists from Japan don't run Canceling Cologne to nullify that. But the theory here is that you would use Greninja V Union to soften up all of your opponent's Pokemon, and then Greninja EX can come in and finish them off with its attack. I don't necessarily like this particular take on it, but there are other ways of setting the damage up, including Hawlucha from Scarlet and Violet base set with its flying entry ability, where you can use you drop a damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Then you can use something like Radiant Alakazam to move it into the active and then swing with Greninja. Or coming later this year in Pokemon 151, there is a new Starmie with the Aquatic Enigma ability, where once during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you placed any damage counters in this way, discard this Pokemon and all attached cards. I've already seen this card paired up with Samurott V-Star to get that damage on, and you're not limited to the bench, so you can just hit the active, discard these cards, and then attack with Greninja, which I think is a really great combo in theory. Quick update: since I recorded the video originally, Pokeka Book has put out a list with the same idea that I had with Greninja EX and a Starmie line here. Let's take a quick second to look at it. We've got the 413 Greninja line with a 1-1 Beebrill. This makes me a little uneasy. I always like to go at least 2-2, but certain times when you have a deck with a whole bunch of stuff, you can't fit it all, so I get it. We also have a 3-2 line of Starmie, and again, the Starmie drops damage counters. When you evolve to it, you have to discard the cards after, but you get the damage on that allows Greninja to hit for 240 damage. And we've got a Manaphy to protect the bench. And then everything else looks pretty straightforward. We've got our ball search, one battle VIP pass. This is a thing that Japan does a little more often, where you use one battle VIP pass, and then on your first turn going second with Irida, you can grab that VIP pass and then get your bench set up. A little uneasy with that, but I have run one builds with one VIP pass in the past. 4 rare candies, maybe I would cut that to 3, but I get the wanting to get 4 to get the Greninja out as fast as possible. And then the interesting thing here, I would say, is probably the rescue carriers. Instead of playing something like an ordinary rod that puts the Pokemon back into your deck, you can get the Pokemon, 2 Pokemon up to 90 HP straight back into your hand, which allows you to get the Starmie and the Staryu back in your hand, set them up, and then pop for more damage if need be. Interesting idea here. This is kind of more in lines of what I think a Greninja EX deck could look like. All right, back to the video. I personally think of these two decks, the one that has a little more upside is the Greninja one. I feels like this is a deck that I would mess around with for sure. This one maybe for funsies, but I do think that the Greninja is probably a little more competitively viable. At the very least, a little more consistent. I think it's a lot easier to set up the damage to get 240 damage rather than trying to flip 4 heads to one-shot anything in the game. But what do you think of these new EX decks? Personally, I think they're okay for level 1 decks. I'm a little disappointed that they don't look as strong as the Chen Pao one. I think that is the new gold standard for what these EX decks could be. Just having like one main attacker plus some supporting Pokemon that synergize with that main card a little better. These ones don't really have that, but they've got at least some interesting attacks, and they could be fun to play with or learn the game with. But let me know in the comments of what you think of these upcoming decks. Again, these are out on October 9th, and they're going to cost $9.99 US each. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. Some quick plugs. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at InThirdPerson. You can find me on Twitch at InThirdPerson, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.